Hello there, this is the person most of you probably know as Sec from the Realm of Mortal Kombat forum. That would be Sec with brackets. This is the first of what I hope is a series of videos, reviews, just various informational things about gaming. The first one I'm going to do, which I kind of had a secret project planned here, it was about my other favorite games, other than the Mortal Kombat series, would be, surprisingly enough, the Animal Crossing series, which seems kind of odd if somebody likes a game where you tear things apart and have violent, bloody fatalities to enjoy the cuddly, almost kid-friendly, childlike game of Animal Crossing where all your villagers are animals and you're a little cute character who's going around collecting money and earning prizes and things like that. But it's actually a pretty in-depth game. There's more to it than would first appear just by playing it. You're collecting items, you're doing chores, people in the village want certain items, you have to find them, they give you prizes for it, so it's a pretty addicting game. One thing about it is the music in the game. It's actually surprising at first that most people know with Animal Crossing the game actually goes in real time, matches your system time or time of day that it is, so in the early morning you tend to have upbeat, cheery music, energetic to go out and get the day, and it goes on by the end of the evening, winds down real slow, soft, so that if you're not careful, if you're playing at night, it can actually put you to sleep. It's about as effective as a nice warm cup of milk or some hot chocolate as far as being able to put you to sleep just like that, but it's a pretty in-depth game. I've been playing it pretty much since it came out for the Wii in 2009, I believe. Before that, played the DS version, known as Wild World. It's actually a pretty addicting game. I was playing it almost every day. I actually had to stop before my friends and family decided to form an intervention. But what prompted me to make the video was I actually was able to obtain the first game of the series, which I was pretty excited to get. And some of you right now are probably thinking, well, that's the GameCube version, so what's the big deal with that? Well, actually the first version was on the Nintendo 64. It was only released in Japan in 2001, which, if you know your Nintendo history, is the end of the lifespan of the N64. And it's also, if you ever played Animal Crossing, very heavily text-based, which involves a lot of translation. And at that point in time, it wasn't worth doing like months of translation for a system that was on its last legs. The GameCube was already out. So basically that ended up being the version we know as the GameCube version. But there are some interesting things. I mean, it's not necessarily a rare game. It is kind of hard to find just because there's not a lot of interest in it. It can be bought. I purchased this on eBay for about $28. It's about the going rate for a Japanese N64 game. If you're familiar with the series, you could probably play it untranslated if you don't know Japanese. I personally don't know it. You can get an emulator and a ROM that has been translated. People have pretty strong opinions on emulation. Personally, I feel if it's a game that was never released in your home country in a foreign language, I don't think there's a problem emulating it. It's really not playable unless you speak Japanese, but your mileage may vary. If you don't feel morally comfortable doing it, it's not a must-have. If you play the GameCube version, it's pretty similar. It has all the things like the NES games that are extra you can find and play, which is really neat. There are little differences. Obviously, the Japanese version is going to have more of the Japanese-themed holidays. The cultural references are a little bit more. They haven't been translated to North America like the games that we know. So, but it's more or less the same game that we've all known and loved. Of course, being a Japanese N64 game, you might notice. In fact, let me grab an American game. Of course, it's Mortal Kombat. The cartridges are the same. The main difference is the placement of the tabs. I don't know if it's easier to see this way. They don't fit. The Japanese game will not fit directly in the American N64 unit without some kind of modification. There are tutorials out there that basically say you can disassemble your N64 to get around the region locking, and those do work. Personally, I grabbed one of these back in the day. It's just a converter. Plug the game in here, put this in the N64. thusly, and you can play it in a regular American game unit without any modifications. I'm doing some research. These are a little hard to find now. In fact, I couldn't find them at all, so I don't know if they make these anymore. If you can't find them, good old-fashioned N64 Game Shark works just the same. I think you have to put in a code for the games to work, but you can find them anywhere on eBay for probably about, I'd say anywhere from less than $10. I mean, you can spend more if you want to, but there's tons on eBay for like less than $10. So it's a good investment. There's a lot of good Japanese Nintendo 64 games. If you're a fan of the wrestling games, the WWF, WCW games that were for N64, there's Virtual Pro Wrestling 1 and 2. This is number 2 here. These are awesome games. They're the same control style as like No Mercy, which everybody to this day says is still the best wrestling game ever. Again, about the same price. I looked it up a couple days ago, $28. You know, it's a great game if you're into that sort of thing. Definitely recommend it. But yeah, this is the Japanese Nintendo 64 version of Animal Crossing. It's kind of more of a curiosity than anything else. You know, it's one of those things where it's a neat thing to have. It's part of the series. A lot of people don't even know exists. Try to include a little bit of gameplay clips in here if I can get the editing software to work correctly. But yeah, that's basically it. Just one little something to kick off my hopefully my new video series. I'll post it on YouTube, see what people think, if there's interest in it. I have a few ideas kicking around for extras. So this will wrap it up for now, and we'll see what people think. I'll be interested to hear your feedback.